The playground massacre, the sky above the Terranova colony, was clear and blue. It was just another peaceful day on the edge of the new human world. Children ran and laughed in the green field beside the colony walls. Their voices were full of joy and innocence. Amy was only 6 years old. She had short black hair and a smile that could melt anyone's heart. She chased her red ball toward the trees, giggling as the wind carried it further. Her friends called after her, "Amy, don't go too far." But she didn't listen. A few moments passed. Then came a scream. It cut through the air like a blade. Everyone stopped. The laughter died. The silence that followed was heavy and cold. Amy's father, Mark, dropped the crate he was carrying and ran toward the woods. A few guards followed him. In the shadows beneath the tall trees, they found the red ball, now splashed with blood. There was no sign of Amy. Only her shoe was left behind. Torn and soaked in red. The fear began to grow. At first, people thought it was a wild animal, maybe a predator from the forest. But the guards searched all day and found nothing. 3 days later, a second child disappeared. His name was Kyle. He had been riding his hoverskate near the colony fence. Only his broken helmet was found. This time, a camera had caught something. It wasn't clear, but in the corner of the image, there was movement. A small creature. It had scales, wings, a tail. It looked like a tiny dragon, and it had glowing yellow eyes. Panic spread through the colony. Children were kept inside. Patrols were doubled. The colony leader sent a message to Earth, but help would take time. Meanwhile, the parents lived in fear. Everyone whispered about the creature. Some called it a ghost. Others thought it was a weapon left behind by ancient aliens. But one man knew it was real. His name was Jaron. His daughter, Leia, was just 7. That night, Leia had a nightmare. She told her father, "There's a dragon outside. It was looking in my window." Jaron kissed her forehead. "It's just a bad dream, sweetie." But he didn't sleep that night. Instead, he sat by her window with his rifle in hand, and when the creature came, Jaron saw it with his own eyes. It flew silently, small, maybe the size of a dog, but its wings were like blades. It had sharp teeth, and its eyes, they were full of hunger and intelligence. He fired. Missed. And in the blink of an eye, it grabbed Leia and flew off into the night. Her scream tore into his soul. The next morning, the colony changed. Jaron was no longer just a father. He became a soldier. A hunter. He went to the council. "This thing is not just killing our children," he said, voice shaking with fury. "It chooses them. It enjoys it. This is not some animal, it's a monster." Many agreed. Some still didn't believe. But then, the drone footage came in. One of the scouting drones had followed a strange heat signal in the forest. What it recorded sent chills through every human on the planet. The tiny dragon was feeding bones, children's bones. Earth responded. A message came from High Command. Humanity protects its young. This will not be allowed to continue. Reinforcements are coming. Prepare for military action. Troop ships launched from orbit. Soldiers were on the way, but Jaron couldn't wait. He sharpened his blade, cleaned his gun. "I'll kill it myself," he whispered, "for Leia." That night, it returned. The creature flew low over the colony wall. Its wings made no sound. Its tail flicked side to side like a snake. It moved toward another window, another child's room. But someone was waiting. Jaron stood on the roof, hidden in the shadows, breathing slowly. His rifle was loaded. His finger was ready. The creature landed silently. Its eyes glowed as it looked toward the bedroom. It never saw Jaron behind it, but just as he aimed, it turned and smiled. Yes, smiled. And then it vanished into the night like smoke. Jaron didn't fire. He was shaking. It knew he was there. The war had begun. And it wasn't just about one creature anymore. It was about something worse, something smart. Something evil and humanity would not forgive. The creature in the dark night fell early on Terranova now. The colony lights stayed on all through the dark hours, but no one felt safe anymore. Fear was like smoke in the air, thick, choking, and impossible to ignore. Jaron hadn't slept since the night his daughter, Leia, was taken. Her empty bed haunted him. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the creature's glowing yellow eyes. And worse, its smile. He sat alone in the watchtower, rifle across his lap. Outside the gates, the forest moved gently in the wind. But Jaron didn't blink. He waited because the creature would come again. He was sure of it. Back at the command tent, the investigation had begun. Colonial Commander Elsa Ray paced the room, staring at the drone footage again and again. She zoomed in on the small figure caught flying between the trees. "It's small," she said, "maybe under 30 pounds. But it's fast and smart." One of the soldiers leaned in. "Ma'am, it's like a reptile, but it flies." And it dodged our sensors. "Not a wild animal," Elsa said, narrowing her eyes. "No beast avoids infrared and sound detection unless it's trained or engineered." Then came new footage, this time from the helmet cam of a missing scout. It showed the man walking through the dark forest. Branches cracked under his boots. He stopped. A soft growling echoed around him. He turned, and the camera caught it. Just for a second, the creature hung upside down from a tree branch. Its eyes glowed like molten gold. Then it dropped, silent and fast. The video cut to static. Elsa slammed her fist on the table. "It's hunting. It chooses its targets. This thing thinks." Meanwhile, Jaron had his own plan. He left the safety of the walls and walked into the forest alone. Everyone told him not to, but he didn't care. He had nothing to lose. Jaron placed small beacons around the area, motion detectors, heat sensors, and sound traps. He coated himself in mud to hide his body heat. He laid flat in a shallow pit and waited. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. Then he heard it. A soft flutter. Wings. He didn't move. A low growl brushed past his ear like a whisper. His heart pounded. Creature was above him. He could feel it. But it didn't attack. It just watched. And then it left. In the lab. The scientists examined a scale recovered from a tree trunk. "It's not like anything we've cataloged," one biologist said. "Carbon dating makes no sense. It's brand new but also ancient." Another scientist looked through a microscope. "These cells are still alive," she said slowly. "The scale is regenerating." "Regenerating?" Elsa asked. "Yes," the scientist replied. "This thing heals itself. Like ... Very fast, almost like a virus." Elsa stared at the screen, cold dread rising inside her. "This isn't just a predator," she whispered. "It's a weapon." A message arrived from deep space. It was a strange signal, repeating the same phrase in a broken, crackling voice. "Phase 1 successful. Soft targets acquired. Awaiting further instructions." The transmission came from just outside the system, not from Earth. Not from any known colony. Jaron stood behind the commander. As she listened to the message, his voice was like ice. "It was a scout," Elsa nodded. "And now we know. There's more." The next attack came 2 days later. This time, the creature didn't go after a child. It went after the water plant. Security footage showed it crawling on the ceiling like an insect, wings tucked close. It dropped onto the back of a worker and tore him open with sharp claws. By the time guards arrived, the creature was gone. But the plant was damaged. Water supplies were poisoned with acid, clearly planned. "This thing isn't just feeding," Elsa said. "It's targeting infrastructure. It's softening us." Jaron stood silent, gripping his rifle. Then something terrifying happened. A young boy named Timmy went missing. He had been staying in the medical bay after falling sick. When the doctors checked the footage, they saw him get up from bed and walk into the hallway. He wasn't alone. The creature was beside him, and Timmy didn't scream. He smiled. A new fear gripped the colony. Was the dragon able to control minds? Or was Timmy tricked? No one knew, but they found his body in the woods the next morning. And next to it was writing, carved into the bark of a tree. In English. It said, "Your children taste sweet." That night, the colony held a meeting. Every parent sat in silence. Every soldier stood armed. Commander Elsa walked up to the podium. "This is no longer about survival," she said. "It's about revenge." And then she turned to Jaren. "You said you wanted to hunt it. I'm giving you a team. You're in charge." Jaren didn't smile. He just nodded. And said two words. "Let's begin." Humanity's resolve. Jaren stood in the center of the colony square, his face hard as stone. Around him, 5 soldiers stood in full combat gear. They weren't just regular troops, they were Earth's elite. Each one had fought battles across alien worlds. But this mission was different. They were not fighting an army. They were hunting a monster. And Jaren, just a grieving father, was now their leader, commander. Elsa watched from the command tower. She spoke into her come. "Team Dragonfall, you are authorized to engage. Mission, capture or kill. But remember, this thing is not alone. We believe it's part of something bigger." Jaren replied calmly, "Understood." He looked at the forest ahead. "We finish this." Their first move was to study the attack patterns. Over the last 10 days, the creature had struck 6 times. Always at night. Always where children were near. But it also avoided cameras and strong light. It wasn't attacking randomly. It was thinking, planning. One of the soldiers, Callan, reviewed the heat scans from the last ambush. "See this?" he pointed. "It didn't just run, it led us away from the real nest." "So it's protecting something," said Jaren. "Eggs? Maybe. Or reinforcements." They set out before dusk. The forest grew darker as the sun disappeared. Jaren's boots made no sound on the mossy ground. The team followed close, eyes scanning every shadow. Sensors beeped quietly in their hands, tracking any heat beyond normal levels. Suddenly, the lead scout froze. "There," he whispered. They all turned. Something moved between the trees. A flash of wings. Gone. In an instant, they didn't chase. Jaren raised his fist. "Let it go. It wants us to follow. We go where we planned." They headed deeper into the woods, toward a deep ravine where no one dared go before. There, hidden beneath the rocks, was a cave. Not just a hole. This was shaped, carved. Smooth walls. Sharp edges. It wasn't natural. Jaren stepped inside. Flashlight. Held high. The walls were covered in strange writing. Symbols that pulsed faintly in the dark. "What is this?" whispered one soldier. Another replied, "This isn't a cave. It's a tunnel system." A cold wind blew through the tunnel, carrying with it the faintest sound. A child's laugh. Jaren's heart stopped. He ran forward. "Leia!" But there was nothing. Just silence. He dropped to his knees, breathing hard. "It's messing with you," said Callan. "It wants to break you." Jaren stood up slowly. His eyes were sharp again. "No, it just made a mistake." They moved deeper underground. Bones were everywhere. Human bones, tiny skulls, small shoes, broken toys. The soldiers' faces were pale, but no one spoke. They all knew this wasn't just a hunting ground. It was a feeding pit. And then they saw. It carved into the rock in perfect English. "More will come." Suddenly, motion sensors went off. The creature was behind them. Then ahead. Then to the side. It was fast, too fast. Then the lights went out. All of them. Total darkness. Jaren flipped. His visor to night vision. The others did the same. And there it was. Not one, not two, but 3 creatures. Watching from the shadows. They had grown. Now the size of wolves. Wings spread wide. Their eyes burned like fire. Jaren didn't hesitate. "Fire!" The cave echoed with The sound of gunshots, plasma bursts, and roars. One creature dropped. Burning. Another vanished into a side tunnel. The third attacked from above, grabbing a soldier and pulling him screaming into the dark. The battle was fast and brutal. When the smoke cleared, 2 dragons were dead. 1 soldier was gone. Another was badly wounded, but they had made it out alive. Jaren looked down at one of the dead creatures. Its body was twitching, trying to heal. He drew his combat knife and drove it through the skull. The twitching stopped. Callan knelt beside the other body. "These aren't fully grown," he said. "They're juveniles," Jaren nodded. "And the first one we saw, it was just a baby." Back at the colony, the team gave their report. Elsa listened, her face pale but steady. "This is a nest," Jaren said. "The one that killed my daughter. It's the oldest, but there are more. A whole system of caves filled with them, and they're growing." Elsa looked at the map. "We need to collapse the tunnels. Set charges, burn it all." Jaren shook his head. "That won't stop them. If these things can fly, they'll escape before we finish. We need to hunt them down, one by one." Elsa paused. Then she asked, "You're ready for that?" Jaren didn't blink. "I was born ready the day my daughter screamed." Outside, the forest was quiet again, but not for long. Deep beneath the surface, far beyond where the humans had gone, more eggs were hatching. Tiny claws broke through shells. Tiny wings stretched in the dark, and far above, humanity prepared for war. The trap in the fire, the sky above Terranova was now filled with war drones. Spotlights swept the forests. Alarms stayed armed all night. Children no longer played. No one smiled. Everyone waited for another scream, but none came. The creatures had gone silent, and that silence scared the humans more than the attacks. Commander Elsa knew what it meant. "They're watching," she told the soldiers. "Studying us, learning. That means they're planning something." Jaren stood in the room, arms crossed, jaw tight. "Then we strike first." The team worked fast. If the creatures were learning, then humans would show them something new. A trap. Jaren and Callan began setting it up on the south side of the forest, near a riverbed the creatures had used before. They placed motion sensors, pressure plates, sound emitters, and, most importantly, heat bait. It was a large, warm decoy shaped like a child, wrapped in scent markers collected from colony children's clothes. It wasn't real, but it smelled real. It looked real through thermal vision. And that's what mattered. "Everything is set," Callan reported. "We even wired the trees with napalm charges. If they enter the zone, they burn." Elsa nodded. "Let them come." Jaren's voice was quiet. "They will." Night fell. The trap waited. The fake child sat under a tree, perfectly still. The wind moved its clothes like a real person might. Jaren and his team waited in a hidden bunker underground, watching everything on screens. Time passed. An hour. 2. Nothing. Then dash movement. One of the sensors buzzed. Something fast was coming from the east. Visual contact. A soldier whispered. A shadow dropped from the trees. Then another. Then a third. 3 creatures, bigger than before, surrounded the decoy. They circled it slowly, confused. And then the leader growled. Boom. The ground exploded beneath them. Fire burst into the sky. The creatures screamed. Wings caught in the blaze. One tried to fly but was caught in napalm spray and crashed to the ground. Another tried to run but was hit by an electrified net. The third leapt into the air, and Jaren pulled the trigger. His plasma rifle glowed. The shot struck the creature's chest. Mitter. It fell hard, twitching, but not dead. It hissed. And then it spoke. "You burn your own." Everyone froze. "You can talk?" Jaren asked, stepping into the fire-lit field. The creature coughed, black blood pouring from its mouth. "Learned your words," it whispered. "Learned your weakness." "What weakness?" Jaren demanded. The dragon smiled with bloody teeth. Your love. For the small ones. Then it died. Jaren stepped back. He stared into the flames. This wasn't just hunting anymore. It was war strategy. The team recovered the creature's body. Back in the lab, scientists cut it open. Its heart was double-layered. Its brain was more advanced than first believed. It's evolving, said the chief biologist. Faster than anything we've seen, Elsa frowned. Too fast. It's learning language, targeting children, using misdirection. This is not normal evolution. Another scientist raised her hand slowly. Ma'am, what if it's not evolution? What if something is guiding it? The next day, the colony received another signal. Same alien frequency, same broken English. But this time, it was a direct message. Soft world. Tasty screams. Phase 2 begins. And then it showed a video. Children taken from other colonies. Locked in cages. Crying. Begging. Elsa's single quotes S hand shook as she turned off the screen. Enough, she said. We're going to burn every last nest. No more hiding. No more waiting. Jaren stood. Give me the fire. They loaded up. FLAMETHROWERS. Grenades. Drone bombers. Sound blasters. The next target was a known cave system deeper than the last, older, unexplored. They called it the Hollow Spine, a mountain ridge full of winding tunnels. Black as space. The entrance was silent. Too silent, but they entered, one by one. Torches lit. Weapons raised. Jaren took the lead. The air smelled rotten. Like sulfur and blood. Bones crunched under their boots. The deeper they went, the more signs they saw, symbols drawn in blood. Nests made of bones. Then came the sound. A hiss. Then another. Then many. They were surrounded. Dozens of glowing eyes appeared. In the dark, the creatures weren't small anymore. They had grown. Wings wider. Teeth longer. Smarter. A trap. The dragons had lured the humans in. Fall back. Jaren yelled. But fire was already filling the tunnels from the wrong side. The dragons had learned from the humans. Trap and turned it against them. Now, the fire was theirs. The battle was chaos. Screams echoed through the tunnels. Flames burned. Both sides. Jaren and Callan dragged 2 wounded soldiers out as the ceiling began to collapse. Outside, the air was filled with smoke and ashes, but they made it out alive. Barely. Back in the colony, Elsa looked at the map. So many caves, so many tunnels, and so many creatures. We need to find the source, she whispered. The place where it started. Jaren nodded, face covered in ash. The nest was a distraction. They want us to chase them. Elsa looked at him. Then let's stop chasing. Jaren pointed to a distant mountain on the map, the first drone. Scan showed a heat pocket under that peak. We ignored it. I say we go there, Elsa agreed. No more traps, no more fear. We take the fight to them. The nesting grounds. The mountain was silent. It stood tall and cold on the horizon. It's dark. Peak cutting through the sky like a blade. For years, humans had avoided it. Early scans had shown strange heat signatures, but no life. Nothing had lived there until now. Now they knew. The mountain wasn't just a rock. It was a nest, and the enemy was waiting inside. Jaren and his team flew in under cover of night. Inside a stealth shuttle. No lights, no sound. Just the wind howling. Outside, he checked his gear. Rifle loaded, knife ready. Flame rounds in place. Across from him sat Commander Elsa. She had joined the team this time. This mission was too important to leave to others. This is where it began, she said. If we don't end it here, Earth will be next, Jaren nodded. Then we burn it all. They landed just below the mountain ridge. Snow crunched beneath their boots as they moved up the narrow path. The cold bit into their skin, but none of them cared. The heat signatures from the top were too strong to ignore. As they climbed, the snow started to melt under their feet. The ground was warm, too warm, "This place is alive," whispered one soldier. Jaron said nothing. But he felt it too. The air was thick, heavy, and pulsing like something was breathing deep inside the rock dot at the peak. They found the entrance dot. It was wide, unnaturally wide, carved into the mountain itself. Symbols were etched into the stone walls, glowing faintly in red. A warning, a message, or maybe a curse. Elsa scanned the tunnel with her visor. "There's movement, a lot of it. But no attack yet. They're waiting," Jaron said. "They know we're here." They moved inside slowly. The tunnel twisted down and down, turning from rock into something stranger. The walls shimmered slightly. The ground felt soft, almost like skin. And then they saw them. Eggs. Hundreds of them, lying neatly along them. Walls, each one the size of a backpack. Each one glowing from within. And in some of them, movement. Tiny shapes, tails, wings, claws. The next generation. "This is it," Elsa whispered. "This is the future of their kind." Jaron's hands shook with rage. "They built it under our noses and used our children as food to grow stronger." He planted the first bomb. The team spread out, placing charges. Time was short. Any sound could trigger an attack. The eggs pulsed and twitched. Some were close to hatching. Suddenly, one of the eggs cracked. Then another. The team froze. A tiny dragon emerged, eyes shut, wings wet. It didn't scream. It sensed them, and it growled. Then, all across the tunnel, eggs began to break open. Dozens of tiny dragons spilled out, hissing and crawling toward the humans. "Fire!" Elsa yelled. Flames lit up the tunnel. The team backed up, setting off small charges to block the newborns. But for every one that died, 2 more hatched. "They're coming too fast," someone shouted. Jaron looked ahead, and there it was, the first dragon. The original one. The one that had taken his daughter. It was bigger, not twice the size of a man. Its wings were spread wide. Its scales were black and gold. Its eyes glowed like suns, and it spoke. "You come into my nest to die with your flames?" Jaron stepped forward. "No," he said. "I came to kill you." The creature laughed. "You kill one while we hatch thousands. You burn nests while we build more. You protect your young, but we multiply." Elsa aimed her plasma gun. "Talk time's over." The creature roared and charged. The tunnel exploded into chaos. Fire, screams, roaring wings. Jaron tackled the beast, slamming it into the wall. Claws slashed his armor. Blood spilled. He grabbed a charge from his belt and pressed it to the dragon's chest. "Say hi to hell," he whispered. And he hit the trigger. Boom. The explosion rocked the tunnel. Rocks rained down. Fire burst through cracks. The team stumbled, grabbing the wounded, retreating. Elsa gave the order. "Set the final detonator. We're ending this mountain." They made it to the surface. One soldier stayed behind to hold the blast door. He smiled before closing it. "For Earth," he said. And then everything went white. The mountain collapsed. The explosion shattered the peak. Smoke rose like a storm into the sky. The ground shook for miles. Inside, every egg, every tunnel, every creature was turned to ash. Back at the colony, people watched the smoke with tears in their eyes. For the first time in weeks, no one screamed. No one cried. Jaron stood by the wall, bandaged and tired. Elsa walked up beside him. "Is it over?" she asked. He shook his head slowly. "No, that was just one nest. They sent a scout to test us, a baby dragon." Elsa stared at the burning mountain. "And we passed the test?" Jaron looked into the sky. "No, we sent a message." Firestorms of vengeance. The fire still burned on the mountain days later. Smoke reached high into the sky, a black flag waving across the stars. But Jaron knew this wasn't victory. It was only warning. They had destroyed one nest, yes, but it wasn't the last. That creature, the first dragon, had spoken of others. More nests. More eggs. More plans. And now Earth was watching. Commander Elsa stood before the holographic council. Leaders from Earth, Mars, and the lunar colonies appeared on screen. What we faced on Terranova was not just a species, Elsa said, her voice sharp and clear. It was a weapon. Designed to grow fast, learn fast, and kill efficiently. The council listened. She continued. This was not nature, it was intention. Someone or something sent these creatures. One voice asked, "Do you have proof?" Elsa nodded and brought up the recordings, the carvings, the symbols, the spoken words from the dragon. And then the final piece footage from the destroyed nest, where strange alien machinery had been fused into the walls. Devices that grew heat, managed humidity, and fed the eggs with liquid nutrients. The council was silent. Then the decision came. Declare war. Humanity responded fast. In just 1 week, 10 warships launched from Earth, 7 from Mars, 3 from Titan. They flew toward the edge of known space, toward the stars where the signal had come from. Jaren stood on the bridge of the lead ship. Iron Wrath. He wore black combat armor now, with a white patch on the chest, a small child's handprint. Leia's. He wasn't just a grieving father anymore. He was a symbol. The fleet reached orbit over Terranova, where the last signal had been tracked. We've isolated the origin, said the comms officer. There's a planet behind that red dwarf. Scans show underground heat signatures. Large, unnatural structures. Elsa stepped beside Jaren. You ready for this? Jaren didn't blink. I was ready the day I saw that red ball in the forest, covered in blood. The attack plan was brutal and direct. First wave, orbital bombardment. Second wave, drone swarms to locate hives. Third wave, ground units, human soldiers with fire, steel, and rage. We aren't taking prisoners, Elsa said. No negotiations. No mercy. Everyone agreed. The creatures had crossed a line when they targeted children. Now, humanity would show them what it meant to strike back. The sky turned red. Missiles rained from orbit. Explosions lit up the planets, crust like lightning. Trapped in stone. Forests burned. Mountains cracked. Hidden tunnels were turned into graves. Then the drones went in, scanning every inch for signs of life. What they found sent chills through the command room. There were hundreds of nests. Each one larger than the last. And not just eggs this time. Factories. Built by alien machines, producing more dragons, bigger dragons, armored ones. Flying tanks with claws. Elsa stared at the screen. They weren't just breeding them, they were building an army. The ground assault began. Jaren dropped from orbit with his squad. Their boots hit the dirt like thunder. Dragons swarmed to meet them, flying, crawling, screaming in fury. But the humans were ready. Flamethrowers roared. Plasma cannons fired. Sound blasters sent shockwaves that cracked dragon bones. Jaren fought like a man possessed. He leapt into battle, swinging his heated axe, cutting through scaled flesh. One dragon pounced on him. He rolled beneath it, jammed a grenade into its throat, and dove clear. Boom. The creature exploded, black blood splattering the ground. Behind him, soldiers cheered. For the children. They roared, but the dragons weren't giving up. They came. In waves, first small ones, then bigger ones, then flying ones with armor plates and glowing veins. They struck with claws, tails, even energy blasts from their mouths. Jaren's squad was pushed back. One soldier fell. Then another. The ground was shaking. The sky was black. Then came the queen. She was massive, 10 meters tall. Wings like ships, eyes like suns. She landed with a crash and roared so loud it shattered visors. Jaren stood alone between her and the remaining soldiers. She looked down at him and smiled. You burned my children, she said, and you fed on ours, he replied. She lunged. The final fight was brutal. Jaren dodged, rolled, struck, His axe cut through her wing, but she clawed his chest. Blood spilled. She bit at him. He shoved a blade into her mouth. Still, she fought. He climbed her back, slammed a charge into her neck. She twisted, roared, tried to fly boom. The explosion tore her throat apart. She collapsed, choking on black smoke. The battlefield went quiet. Dragons turned to run. The humans didn't let them. Hours later, the war ended. Every nest destroyed. Every queen burned. The factories crushed. The machines broken, and the last signal from the dragon race went. Silent, Jaren stood among the ashes. He stared at the blackened ground, at the sky, at the world that had once dared hurt his daughter. Elsa walked up to him. "It's over." Jaren didn't answer right away. Then he said, "No, it's ours now." The final roar smoke still curled in the skies above this scorched alien world. The war was over, but the silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of silence that comes after something has ended forever. Jaren stood at the edge of the last battlefield. Around him lay broken pieces of the enemy's shattered scales, burned wings, shattered eggs. The soil was black, soaked with ash and blood. But this time, the blood wasn't human. Across the planet, humanity raised its flag. The war fleet hovered in the sky like silent watchers. Ground teams spread out, scanning tunnels, destroying leftover hatcheries, and burning every trace of dragonkind. There would be no second chance. Jaren walked through a ruined cavern where the final queen had fallen. Her charred bones still steamed. His steps echoed in the empty space. He wasn't here to celebrate. He was looking for something. He found it buried beneath a pile of bones. A small shoe, red and old, the same kind his daughter, Leia, had worn. He picked it up with shaking hands, brushed off the dust, and held it close. "I found you," he whispered. "I kept my promise." Back at the human base, Commander Elsa stood before the remaining soldiers. Her armor was cracked. Her voice was tired but steady. "This is more than victory," she told them. "This is history. They wanted to test us. They thought we would break, but we didn't. We fought for our children, our homes, and our future." One soldier shouted from the crowd, "For loved ones lost." Others joined, "For Earth, for lunar colonies, for humanity." Their voices roared louder than any dragon ever did. Later that night, Jaren sat alone on a hill near the base. He looked up at the stars, the firelight from the burning hives flickering below. Elsa approached and sat beside him. "They'll tell your story forever," she said. "The father who wouldn't stop. The one who turned a colony's tragedy into a species' last breath." Jaren shook his head. "I didn't do it for a story," she nodded. "I know, you did it for her." He looked at the small red shoe in his hand. "And for every child who never got the chance to grow up." Suddenly, a new message came from Earth. The signal flashed red, urgent. "High priority." Elsa rushed to the command center. A young officer read the transmission aloud. "To Commander Elsa Ray and all Terranova units, long-range satellites picked up energy bursts from a system near Orion's edge, matching the same signature as the original Dragon signal." Everyone froze. Unknown origin. Possible surviving. Hives are creators of the dragons. Recon mission required. High risk. Authorization code. Phoenix Fire. Elsa looked at Jaren, who had just stepped in. They weren't alone. She said. Jaren didn't hesitate. "Then we finish what we started." The fleet moved once more. Faster this time. Smarter. Meaner. They had learned how to fight the dragons. They had learned how to survive their fire. And now they were going to hunt the source. Jaren led the first wave. As the warships passed the red dwarf, they saw it. Not a nest. Not a cave. A ship. Massive. Old. Covered in claws and spikes. Floating in space like a tomb. They boarded it carefully. Inside were chambers of old tech and strange lights. Alien skeletons. Some tall, thin, with 6 arms. Some looked part-human.and. Then, in the central core, they found the truth. A stasis pod. Still active, inside. A creature. Not a dragon, but something worse. The creator. It opened its eyes. Slowly. Yellow. Burning. Just like the first hatchling back on Terranova. Who are you? Elsa asked, weapon drawn. The creature smiled. I am what you made, it said. Voice deep and smooth. Once your test subject. Once your forgotten science. Now, your reckoning. Jaren's heart stopped. You came from us? Yes, the creature said. Long ago, your ancestors reached for power they could not hold. I was one of many. You left us behind. We evolved. We remembered. And we returned to teach you pain. Jaren raised his weapon. Then here's our answer. The final shot echoed in the chamber. The pod shattered. The creature screamed. And the warship shook as the energy core of the alien vessel began to overload. Get out now. Elsa yelled. Jaren stayed just long enough to plant one last charge. For Leia. He whispered. Then, he ran. The ship exploded behind them. A ball of fire lit the stars. Pieces of alien metal flew into space like burning feathers. And with it, the last roar of the dragon creators. Back on Earth. The victory was declared complete. No more signals. No more attacks. No more whispers in the dark. Humanity had faced the monsters it once created. And won. Jaren returned home. Not to a city, but to a small field beside the woods. He built a bench where his daughter used to play. He placed her shoe on a small stone and carved just 3 words. She was loved. As the wind blew softly, a voice from behind asked, Is it really over? Jaren turned. It was a small boy, no older than 6, looking up at the stars. Jaren smiled gently. Yes, he said. But we'll always remember why we fought. And as the night grew quiet, the stars above burned a little brighter, because Earth was still standing, because children laughed again, because when monsters came for humanity's young, humanity roared back louder.